Hello everyone, welcome back to Coach Craig Sports. Today we're going to be looking at another draft strategy. Today's will be running back heavy draft strategy, or some people may refer to it as the robust RB strategy. So it's going to be kind of the opposite of what we did in the last draft strategy video. So first off, I'm going to go through, answer a couple questions from the last video, or from that draft strategy video. We got Snacks here. He asked about the new NFL playoff format and what impact it will have on fantasy football and the fantasy football playoffs, and who do I think will win Rookie of the Year. So I gave a real short answer here, but I'm going to go into it a little bit more. So the NFL playoff format, the only real change is each league is going to have a extra team in the playoffs, and only one team gets by the first round of the playoffs. This is going to make games like weeks 16 and 17 more competitive. You're not going to see as many good players sitting out those weeks, resting for the playoffs. That's the major change for it. I think in the future when we get an extra game, when they move from the 16 to the 17 game season, that will make a bigger impact on fantasy football. Because a lot of leagues right now, they only do 16 weeks. Some do 17 weeks. So when we get to that point, it's either going to probably be 17 weeks or 18 weeks. And if a lot of guys aren't rested in the last week, maybe there's more 18-week seasons. And with that being said, that will make for a longer fantasy football season. I don't think it will impact the fantasy football playoffs too much. It'll pretty much be the same. It might just push it back a week or two, or a week. Might just push it back a week. Who do I think will be the Rookie of the Year? Right now, I'd say Joe Burrow is the favorite. Quarterbacks are always going to be favored in general for Rookie of the Year. But if it's not him, I could see like a guy like Jonathan Taylor or Clyde Edwards-Helaire, if they get the workload early, to be a favorite as well. Just kind of depends on how the year plays out. There's a lot of good wide receivers this year too, so if one of them breaks out, maybe one of them ends up as it as well. Nathan's question, he was asking about, he said they liked when I talked to him about different players, and then I asked if there's anybody else that he would like me to go over as well. He mentioned a couple names: Jerry Jeudy, Todd Gurley, Frank Gore, Chris Thompson, and Matthew Stafford. So I'm going to start with Matthew Stafford. The last 2 years he's been dealing with a back injury. He hasn't probably performed as good as you could have, but the last couple games before he was out for the year, he did very well. He was throwing for like 350 yards, 400 yards a game, a bunch of touchdowns. So supposedly his back injury is completely healed. He had a small fracture in his back that he was playing with. So if he could be healthy for the first time in a couple of years. And with some of the weapons around him, I think he's primed for a good year. He's kind of one of those lower-end quarterback ones that I'd probably be targeting in a lot of drafts. So Chris Thompson, he's not a guy that I think has a lot of fantasy value this year. He's come over to Jacksonville with Jay Gruden. He's going to have a role like third down back, passing game back. So if you play in like a PPR league with like a couple flex spots, he might be valuable in that type of league. If Leonard Fournette gets traded, he could have some value. Even though they have Raquel Armstead, who Armstead's more of a 3-down back than Fournette is. I'm not sure that will help Thompson for sure, but if Jay Gruden's always loved Chris Thompson, so he's going to have some type of a role. But mainly you're going to want him in like deeper leagues or a full point PPR league. Next one was Frank Gore. Frank Gore signed with the Jets. He's going to be Le'Veon Bell's primary backup, most likely. Adam Gase does like Frank Gore a lot, but Le'Veon's going to get most of the workload there. Frank Gore's not really going to have much of a role, I would assume, this year. With Le'Veon Bell, Adam Gase is going to give him probably like 5 carries a game just because Adam Gase likes Frank Gore. He's not somebody I'd be targeting in fantasy football. He's old now. The last like 2 years, he's barely scored any touchdowns, so he's not going to have much relevancy there. He's not going to catch the ball in the backfield when they already have Le'Veon Bell, so he's just going to come. He's a guy that's going to come in, get like his 5-6 carries a game, get maybe 20 yards. He's not anybody that's going to help out your team. Todd Gurley, I do like this year with Atlanta. You're able to get him at a little bit of a discount this year. Lately, he's been kind of sneaking up a little bit towards the back of the second round, early third round, so it's not quite as big a discount as it was earlier in the offseason, but with Atlanta's a pretty good offense. He should be able to get a lot of touchdowns for them near the goal line, and hopefully get some of the passing game, or like gets more receptions, gets some of his passing game work back more compared to last year, what the Rams were giving him. I think the Falcons, they don't have a lot behind him, so they're probably, and he's only on a 1-year deal, so they're going to try to use him as much as possible. I think their coach, Dan Quinn, he almost got fired last year, so they're going to have to come out strong. They're going to really have to come out strong this year and make sure he keeps his job, especially when you're in division with the Saints and the Buccaneers as well. Last one was Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy is the rookie wide receiver out of Alabama. He's playing with the Broncos. I don't expect him to have a big role this year. Rookie wide receivers sometimes struggle, especially early in their first year. Jeudy has talent. Everybody was saying and going into the draft, he's such a great route runner. He's a good separator and all that stuff. I think he's a decent prospect. I think he's a decent wide receiver. I think Courtland Sutton is going to get a lot of targets. Noah Fant got a lot of targets once Drew Lock started last year. They also brought in KJ Hamler. They brought in Albert O. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name, but he was a tight end at Missouri with Drew Lock, so he was his favorite target at Missouri. He struggled a lot his last year at Missouri after Lock left, but he's a guy that could come in and get some work as well. So I think there's just a lot of mouths to feed in that offense. I don't think Judy's a guy that's going to step out right away, even though he's probably going to start. Does he have talent? Does he have upside? Yeah. If you're in a dynasty league, I'd probably target him. He's not somebody that I'm particularly going after. Like, I'm not real high on the Jerry Jeudy hype train like some people are, but I think he'll be a decent receiver. I don't think he's going to be the elite receiver that everybody was trying to make him out to be going into the draft. CeeDee Lamb would be my favorite receiver out of this draft class, especially out of the guys that were drafted early. But he ended up in Dallas, so his ceiling's a little bit limited, especially with Gallup and Cooper there. And Cooper just got paid, so he's probably going to be around for a while, and Gallup's going to be there for at least this year and next year. But that's a little brief overview of those. We're going to go back to the mock draft simulator here. Like I said, we're going to go running back heavy today. Running backs early and often in the first 3 or 4 rounds. And then we're going to go from there. I got the scoring. Everything's set up exactly the same as the robust or zero RB strategy. This is actually the same draft position. I'm just going to randomize it, see where we end up. We're going to end up at the A spot. Everything else is exactly the same. I'm going to just take the kicker off here. I'm going to take the kicker and defense off for this one. Just try to make the video a little bit shorter. My thoughts are going to be pretty much the same in kicker and defense for every mock draft. With that being said, we'll just get started real quick. So why do we want to use a robust RB strategy or a running back heavy strategy, whichever you would like to call it? So this year especially, there's a lot of running backs by committee, guys that don't have a lot of proven workload. So you want, like in the first couple of rounds, you want to get some reliable pieces, because running backs matter a whole lot more than other positions, because there's a bigger gap between the top running backs and then like the middle of the road running backs and then like the running backs after that. So if you're able to get some guys that are proven, you're going to have an advantage every single week. So we'll look and see what happens real quick. This one looks like a pretty standard start to a draft. So we got McCaffrey, Barkley, Zeke, Kamara, Michael Thomas, Dalvin Cook, and Joe Mixon. This is about like normal or as perfect as I'd probably say your draft's going to look like coming off. Obviously in the 8th spot, I've talked a little bit before. I'm always trying to get like Joe Mixon around the 6 to 9 range here if he's available. He's not, so we're going to kind of have to go from there. We're using a robust RB strategy, so we ain't really looking at these wide receiver guys down here. This might have been a good, if your draft goes like this, maybe this is a good example of going wide receiver early, because you got these 3 guys here. Let's see. So we got Derrick Henry here. We got Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb I'm not too high on this year. He's going to be splitting carries with Kareem Hunt. So I kind of got him not as high. Drake I like. Jacobs is kind of iffy for me. Like, his ceiling is just so limited. They brought in Lynn Bowden Jr. They brought it back Jalen Richard. So he's not going to get a lot of catches. Injuries were a problem last year, so he's not a guy I'm super high on. Then we got Miles Sanders and Aaron Jones, Austin Eckler. So since Mixon went at 7, I think we pretty much have to take Derrick Henry here. It's half-point PPR, so it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not full-point PPR. Obviously, Derrick Henry doesn't catch the ball a lot. But he got his contract. He's going to be good to go now. Let's see who went off in between here. So after Derrick Henry, we had Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Julio Jones, DeAndre Hopkins. So a bunch of wide receivers in a row. We got Nick Chubb, Miles Sanders, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. So this actually worked out pretty well for our running back heavy or robust RB strategy. So Kendrick Drake's still on the board, so we're going to take him. Actually, him and Josh Jacobs are both on the board. But we're going to take Drake, like him a little bit better. Think he's got a better opportunity this year to break out. I see 2 tight ends go off the board, 2 quarterbacks, a couple of running backs here. Let's see who's left here with the running backs. So we got stuck in a bad fire. Because in this situation, we probably want to be looking at like Gurley or Edwards-Helaire. They actually went a little bit later than some of these guys did. Fournette and Jones and Eckler, they all went there. So a running back heavy, we could go with somebody like Chris Carson, Melvin Gordon. I'm not too high on like Melvin Gordon this year because he's going to be splitting carries with Philip Lindsay. We got Le'Veon Bell here, James Conner, Jonathan Taylor, David Johnson. So I think for this draft, we're going to go with James Conner. We're going to go upside. So if James Conner is healthy, he's probably a top 10 or 12 running back. But that's just the big question is if he's healthy. Let's see. We had Carson, Gordon, and Jonathan Taylor all go off the board here. So we still got Le'Veon Bell, and we still got David Johnson here. We can obviously take one of them. Then we got 4 running backs off to a great start, and then we can fill in all the other positions from there. So I don't think I've taken David Johnson yet, so we're just going to go ahead and we'll take him this time instead of Le'Veon. If we were going to take like a wide receiver here, maybe we take a wide receiver, and then the next round we could come back with like a David Montgomery or somebody too. But pretty much with this robust RB strategy, we're just trying to get 3-4 good running. We're just trying to load up on running back early, have that position locked down. So actually Montgomery was picked before we picked again. So if we were going to try to come back with him, we'd kind of be in a tough spot. So that's not the end of the world. We got Mark Ingram here. Is not bad either. So we got our 4 running backs now. Click over to our roster. We got Derrick Henry, Kendrick Drake, James Conner, David Johnson. So with all these guys, they all have a little bit of question mark. Henry doesn't have the passing game upside. Otherwise, he's pretty solid. Kendrick Drake, he doesn't have the history of doing it. And then James Conner and David Johnson both obviously have injury histories. You got a little bit of safety built in there. Looking at our 5th round pick now, we're going to want wide receiver. We're probably going to take somebody that's maybe a little bit safer, doesn't have quite as much upside. Or you could go like an AJ Green, somebody that has a lot of upside. Let's just try. So we got our running backs locked down. Let's try to get some upside wide receivers though. So we're going to go after Devontae Parker. He finished very strong at the end of last year, getting him in the 5th round. Maybe he's a wide receiver 1 again this year, as he was for about 10 games last year. Let's see who we got here. So we got him. We could go for some upside for like Marvin Jones, Will Fuller, Brandon Cooks, somebody like that. We could go a little bit safer with Julian Edelman. Marquise Brown's also a big upside pick. So this is 6th round. I think we're just going to take Edelman. We're going to want one safe wide receiver. I'm not crazy about having Edelman like as our wide receiver 2, but if nothing else, he's at least a safe wide receiver 3 on a weekly basis. So let's see. We got a couple guys gone that were boom bust guys, big. So we're probably going to take Will Fuller, Brandon Cooks here. We'll just take Fuller again. If he's healthy, the upside there is tremendous. Not too much to be said there. I kind of talked about him in one of the last videos I did. So let's see here. We got Parker and Fuller who have upside. Edelman safe play. I still think I'm going to load up a little bit more on wide receiver, so I'm kind of eyeballing Deontay Johnson here or Jamison Crowder. So we're going safe play with Crowder or upside pick with Johnson. I think we're just going to go with another upside wide receiver. If we can get lucky on one of these 3 guys, turns into somebody that we want. Crowder went right after my pick, of course. That's not crazy. But I was hoping maybe Crowder would make his way back around us. We got some, because now we got our 4 running backs set up. So now we're not reaching on some guy like Sony Michel and hope he does good, or somebody in this range just hoping to get the right opportunity. We kind of got 4 people that are going to have opportunities. As long as they stay healthy, they're going to be doing well. So quarterbacks, we got a couple people out there still. Cam Newton's still out there. I think here we're going to take Anthony Miller. I feel like he's kind of an upside guy, but kind of a safe guy at the same time, especially if Nick Foles is the starting quarterback for the Bears. So we're going to take him. So I think we got 5 wide receivers now, if I remember right. So we got some upside, we got some safe. So like Johnson and Miller, I kind of see as upside guys, but I kind of see them safe guys too. And then Edelman's a safe guy. Fuller's a pure upside. Parker's kind of safe, but kind of upside as well. So like, I like the upside and wide receivers we got here. We got tight end. We could. So let's see. We're around 10. I wouldn't be mad if we did like a Hayden Hurst pick here. There's a couple guys out there still. Wide receiver. We're kind of getting into the range that I'm not like too crazy about. There's still some like upside picks we could take here. We could take a Ruggs, a Hardman, a Rager, somebody like that. Justin Jefferson as well. I think we're just going to take Hayden Hurst here. He's kind of an upside tight end pick. The one mock we did the other day, I think he went like the 7th round, 8th round, something like that. He went real early, the other mock we did. A good variety of people coming off the board there. We got more upside wide receivers there. Let's see what we got left to fill. We got 3 bench spots. We got quarterback left to fill. Obviously, like I said before, I took the defense and kicker out of here just to shorten the video just a little bit. Nothing too crazy there. We can spend a whole video going over kickers and defenses if you guys really want to. So Cam Newton's still there. I'm kind of thinking about him. I'm kind of thinking about Matthew Stafford. Obviously, Matthew Stafford I talked a little bit about before. I might just go after like Chase Edmonds here too. Just have a little bit of security behind Kenyon Drake just in case something happens with Drake. Obviously, we got all the other running backs there as well, so I'm not like too worried about it. But it gives us like a extra safety blanket. So maybe if James Conner or David Johnson get hurt and Kenyon Drake just falls off the map for whatever reason, we still got fallback. Obviously, we got guys here bringing up Darrington Evans. So we could handcuff like all our running backs if we really wanted to, but that's not like something we crazy need to do as well. Like since we picked so many early, we kind of pseudo handcuffed in a sense that we don't need to handcuff now. So I could double dip at quarterback and go Matthew Stafford and Cam. And one of them should be easily a top 10 quarterback. I don't like doing that particularly. I'd rather pick somebody that can stream. Let's see if Stafford's got the Bears, the Packers, the Cardinals. Not the greatest schedule. Not that it matters too much for Stafford because he's pretty good. And Cam has Miami, Seattle, Las Vegas, Kansas City. So like he's got a pretty easy schedule here. Then these games get kind of tough in the middle. Easy, tough, pretty easy, tough, not too bad, and then easy. So like Cam might have a little bit better schedule. He also they both have a little bit of injury risk. I'm just gonna take Cam here. Part with Hurst, I was kind of thinking like with Hayden Hurst, maybe I'd take another tight end as well. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do that yet or not. Gardner Minshew went off the board. I ain't seen Gardner Minshew go off the board too often in single quarterback leagues. Like I feel pretty set at running back. We could target somebody like McFarland here, who could have some upside if something happens to Connor. Kind of handcuff Connor at the same point. We could get Damian Harris if Michelle's not ready. We could get Joshua Kelly potentially if he gets a role with the Chargers. We got some upside picks here. I'm not crazy about any of these guys. This kind of is where it drops off. It's like I might as well take like a John Ross or somebody. Like that's where I fall down to. So I'm glad we got our running backs real early. Kind of got that position set. Then we got our flyer wide receivers kind of in the middle, and we got enough of them that it should kind of cover each other out. So we're not having to take flyers on some of these guys. Grabbing Hurst at tight end I like a lot there. So maybe I pair him with like Hawkinson or Jonnu Smith. I'm just going to see who Jonnu Smith plays. Denver, Jacksonville, Minnesota. Like, it's not the best schedule. And who do the Lions play again? Like, Hawkinson, I don't... Like, they say the Green Bay matchup's bad, but I don't think it's that bad. Especially, like, because Green Bay replaced their linebackers this year. too crazy about the matchup, but I feel like this could be a high upside pick with Hockenson here. So we're going to take Hockenson. Double dipped at tight end, hoping one of them pans out. But like, I normally don't double dip at tight end, but with some of the stability at other positions, especially like running back, it gives me a little bit more flexibility to do so. But like, and Hurst and Hockenson are two guys that could both break out, and then either they both break out and you can trade one away for somebody that can help you at a different position, maybe wide receiver or quarterback, or I don't think we'll need another running back, but you never know. Or one of them breaks out and the other one doesn't do anything, then you can just cut the other guy, pick somebody up on waivers like that can help your team more. So it's not the end of the world in this situation. Like I said, normally I don't like to do it. Stafford went off the board here, so I don't think I'm going to double dip at quarterback. I mean, if you really want to get somebody like Joe Burrow or Roethlisberger, Tannehill, it's one of them three guys, I wouldn't be upset about that. Like if we got one of them, we can go back to wide receiver. Like I said, these are kind of all the guys. I mean, we could take that John Ross flyer again at the end. I've done that a couple times now, so maybe I ain't going to do that in this draft. So we could do Darrington Evans as the late handcuff, or we could do Joshua Kelly. I think that's where we're about at. For this draft, we're just going to do the Darrington Evans. Obviously, if we get him in the last round and Derrick Henry was our first pick, it's not going to be to me, it's not the end of the world. If we're just handcuffing our first round pick in the last round, it's a fair investment to me. If we don't need him, we just cut him. It's not the end of the world. So overall, we got Cam Newton, Derrick Henry, Kenyon Drake, Devontae Parker, Julian Edelman, Will Fuller, Hayden Hurst, James Conner. So that's kind of our starting lineup right now. Matchup dependent, obviously. Then we got David Johnson. So these four running backs, we can go with the ones that got the three best matchups for the week. Or if one of them gets hurt, we can rotate there. Deontay Johnson and Anthony Miller, two upside wide receivers. I think they both kind of have a safe floor. So maybe their floor is a wide receiver 3, but maybe they both can hit a wide receiver 2. That would help us out a lot. We're kind of betting on Parker or Fuller to kind of take that step up, be a wide receiver 1. At worst, maybe we got a whole bunch of wide receiver 2s. And then between Hurst and Hockenson, we're expecting one of them to break out as a tight end. Obviously, like I said, if we get both of them break out, we can trade one of them for like a better wide receiver, or we got two really good tight ends, or if one of them don't break out, we just drop them. Edmonds and Evans are kind of our little handcuffs here. So I think overall this is a fairly good draft. They gave us a B. I'm not quite sure why in this situation. I'll take a quick look at all the other teams. I'm not going to go like over every single pick like I did in the last episode. It just runs a little bit too long. But I'm going to go take a look, see what other teams did. So this one just kind of, they got two wide receivers early. They got wide receivers in between there. They got Deshaun Watson at quarterback. So that doesn't look like too bad a team. Decent little strategy there. That would be a pretty normal strategy, I consider this draft. This guy, they kind of went robust RB, but then they threw Lamar Jackson in there. Then they got three wide receivers. Honestly, their wide receivers don't look too strong in there. They kind of took some shots at some guys late with Watkins and Deshaun Jackson. Let's see. This guy did two running backs early and a quarterback early. Some wide receivers. So he kind of mixed it all up, really. Nothing too crazy on that team. Then this guy went Kamara, and then he went pretty much zero RB after that. So he went running back early, then tight end, then wide receivers, then one of them like flyer running backs with Mostert, quarterback. It's not a bad team that he's got here together. What we got here? Then this guy went zero RB heavy. Like he went four wide receivers early. So obviously he's expecting these guys to be his three wide receivers in flex play pretty much. Then he got Montgomery and Swift. Montgomery I'd say is pretty safe. Swift's kind of iffy. Then they got Damon Williams, Darrell Henderson. So he's taking a lot of shots on this team, really. So that's kind of the zero RB strategy in a nutshell, is load up early, hope some of your running backs pan out. This one's going to be a high risk, high reward. But look at their wide receivers guy. You got Michael Thomas, Kenny Galladay, DJ Moore, and Robert Woods. These all could be wide receiver ones. That provides a lot of safety at that position, but then you got to think about what he's giving up in return. Then this guy, he went 3 running backs early, so kind of running back heavy. Then McLaurin, Diggs, Wilson. He had a pretty good draft, I'd say. Nothing too crazy. Then we got the guy that took Mixon before us, and he came back and swung around with Kittle, and then you got Edwards-Helaire. That's not crazy. You got Keyshawn Vaughn here. That's a little bit early for me. I'm not like in love with this team at all. There's a lot of risk to it, and it looks like there could be a lot of holes. Then obviously we got our team. We took 4 running backs early. Then we took we actually ended up taking 5 wide receivers in a row. Then we took our tight end. We went at Chase Edmonds, then Cam Newton, Hockenson, Evans. I like our team overall. This guy, so we got a couple more that were 0 RB have early at least here. So we got Devontae Adams, Mike Adams, Juju. That's a pretty good starting point. Jonathan Taylor, that could be a good pick if he breaks out. We got Ertz, Boyd. So he's just kind of interesting here because he went and he grabbed Boyd in the middle there. So Boyd would be like a decent flex play on this team. So that's not bad because you want somebody that's a little bit safer, especially since you got Mike Evans, who was kind of boom bust last year. Not sure how he will do with Tom Brady this year. Kareem Hunt, obviously you guys seen what we did with him. We picked him. And our 0 RB strategy, Breida, Latavius Murray, Duke Johnson, those are kind of guys that, McFarland, those are kind of guys that you'd want because they might have a role on their own. And then if the starter gets hurt, then they're going to move into a larger role. This is another 0 RB strategy. So they got Tyreek, Godwin, Cooper. Pretty good start. Mark Andrews after that. They got Mark Ingram. That was pretty good value there. Gallup's kind of like a flex play wild card. Then you got Geis, Jones, Michelle, and Coleman. I don't hate these 4 picks because these are all guys that could have a defined role. Obviously, I'm not crazy about Darius Geis. Michelle's been banged up. Carlos Hyde, I'm not sure about that pick. And then he went Brady and Stafford back to back. I'm really confused about that. But I'd rather just draft Stafford and then take another pick there or somewhere else. Some of these guys, they just take 2 quarterbacks anyways. Like I've said in previous videos, I'd only draft 1 quarterback in 1 QB league. You're either going to start them all year or you're going to want somebody that's stream worthy. And then these 2 guys, they went wide receiver, running back for the first 4 rounds. So we got Julio Jones, DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know about Hopkins in the first. I'm not crazy about it, but at the back end pick, you can't complain too much. Paired him with Nick Chubb, so like this combo, like it's not great, but it's not awful either. I'd rather have the Jones and Miles Sanders combo. And then he got Beckham, he got Thielen, and then you got Gordon and Carson. So I kind of like this for the first 2 picks better. Then I kind of like this for the next 2 picks better. Darren Waller in 5th wasn't not bad. Devin Singletary, some AJ Green, that works kind of out with the strategy pretty well. Brandon Cooks, so you got two high upside guys there. Dak, Wentz, that's fine. Evan Ingram, we're not touching him. John Brown, the 8th is real. I don't know. I would take John Brown probably before the 10th round. It's just with Diggs there, it gets too messy. Dobbins is fine. These guys are all guys that could have roles too. Lindsey, Emmanuel Sanders, not crazy about. Elshon, I wouldn't pick Elshon pretty much till the last round. Rager's fine here. Jamal Williams, somebody I'm not going to touch this year at all. Daniel Jones and Wentz together, that's kind of interesting, but I'm not mad about it. Daniel Jones is not somebody I would be drafting this year. The Giants have a rough beginning to the year schedule. But I think Daniel Jones, in the right matchups, he can put up good fantasy points. Damian Harris, this last pick is very good. Then Jared Cook with Evan Ingram, I would just rather take Jared Cook every day of the week. Get something better up here. And then you got Baker Mayfield as well. Is Baker his only quarterback? No, he's got Dak too. So that's kind of a weird stack as well. But overall, that's kind of the robust RB strategy. Like I said, he's just loading up on running backs early, trying to get that set together, then trying to find the breakout wide receivers for the year. Every year, you're going to have wide receivers that break out. You look at last year, Terry McLaurin, Devontae Parker, A.J. Brown, people like that. And every year, somebody breaks out. So maybe this year it's Anthony Miller. Maybe this year it's Deontay Johnson, Will Fuller if he stays healthy. It could be one of these guys somebody else drafted, Preston Williams, Golden Tate healthy and playing all of the games this year. Mecole Hardman breaks out. Every draft has value. It's just being able to analyze it and find it. So obviously we talked about the zero RB strategy, and then we talked about the robust RB strategy or running back heavy strategy. Each one has their own benefits, not saying either one is better. So maybe here, I took James Conner. Maybe I want to take DJ Moore. I could have done that and still came back with David Johnson here, and I still have 3 running backs, and then I have a better wide receiver 1. And then maybe I can switch out one of my other picks and take a running back flyer later. Every draft's different. You don't want to go into any single draft saying, this is the strategy I'm using, I'm sticking to it no matter what. If you're not able to adapt on the fly and be prepared, your draft's not going to go that well. So you need to be prepared of what everybody else is doing, who you value particularly for your team, like knowing ADP where people typically go, being able to pick your guys and find value along the draft. But that's pretty much it for today. If you guys have any other questions about the robust RB strategy, just let me know. If you liked and enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you guys have any questions, comments, or ideas for future videos, just let me know. We'll be going over another draft strategy tomorrow. Maybe we'll take a quarterback early. We haven't done that yet. Obviously, you're not going to want to take a quarterback in the first round. Just don't do that unless you're in a super flex league. We'll talk more about super flex leagues later. That's pretty much it for today. If you guys haven't subscribed already, please do so. I really appreciate it. I appreciate everybody that's commented and showed support for the channel so far. You guys are awesome. If you haven't been subscribed or you're already subscribed and you haven't hit the notification bell, it should be down below. Just hit that. It'll let you know every time we put a new video up. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, just let me know down in the comments, or you can use the CoachCraigSports@gmail.com. You can email me there, or you can go on the Facebook page. That'll be down in the description as well. Just let me know any questions you have, anything you'd like to see on the channel. Like, my main goal for this channel is to help you guys. We're trying to build a community here, a community of fantasy football champions, and trying to help you guys enjoy your experience throughout the year with fantasy football. I know some of you guys are new. You don't have to be an expert to win your league. You just got to be able to do a little bit of research, plan out your draft a little bit, be able to adjust on the fly, and then throughout the year be able to do waivers, do a trade if we need to, and we'll go over all of that. But that's all I got for today. Hope you guys enjoyed, and enjoy the rest of your day.